Good evening. Now, as preparation intensifies for Anambra 2025 governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission has launched a new digital innovation, the INEC Training Virtual Assistant, or what you can also call INEC Training Bot. Available on Telegram, the bot provides staff and stakeholders with 24/7 access to election materials and interactive modules to enhance training and efficiency. INEC says the initiative reflects its commitment to smart learning and better election management. Meanwhile, the Commission has scheduled PVC collection for October 22nd to 26th and a mock accreditation exercise on October 25th to test the upgraded BVAS ahead of the polls. However, our focus tonight, a major shake-up at the top of Nigeria's military. President Bola Tinubu fires the nation's service chiefs and brings in a new team of commanders. But will this fresh leadership deliver real change or just a reshuffling of uniforms? Plus, as INEC's new chair makes big promises of credibility and reform, activist Omoyele Sowore arrests inside a courtroom sparks outrage and debate about the rule of law. In Nigeria, or is Nigeria at a turning point or repeating old patterns of power and politics? These are our focus tonight. Welcome to Politics HQ. I am Dakbo Adigboye. Let's get the answers. President Bola Tinubu has carried out a sweeping shake-up of Nigeria's military leadership, sacking the nation's service chiefs and appointing new commanders to lead the Army, Navy, and Air Force. The move comes amidst mounting pressure over worsening insecurity and calls for reform within the armed forces. Now, tonight, we unpack what this reshuffle means for Nigeria's security strategy, the men now leading the military, and whether a change in command can truly deliver results where others have struggled. Now, joining me right now to discuss this is Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired, is a security and development expert. It's great to have you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, great. Let's start off this conversation by first doing a bit of appraisal of, will I call it the tenure of the now replaced former service chiefs. Given the state of security in the nation, I mean, according to SBM intelligence data, it shows that security crisis in Nigeria, had an estimated fatality of about 5,000 from crimes and terrorism in the first half of this year alone, 2025, a 7% decrease from the previous year. Now, in terms of performance by the previous team, would you say that looking at where the country was about 4 years, 5 years, 8 years ago, there has been an improvement?
Well, so generally speaking, there have been an improvement in terms of real numbers. And when you look at the intensity of the maybe attacks or how the escalations are. And when you compare so depending on where you're comparing from, but let's take the 2 years that they were at the saddle, you find out that there was a time that the numbers really went down, but then there was some kind of resurgence, and that is, we will see at the moment up to when they left, we've had a little stability or kind of improvement when you look at where we're coming from. Have we reached where we would have loved to be? Not really, but there was a significant improvement in that. In the security situation.
All right, Wing Commander, I'd like to just ask you, because I know that you've been, you yourself, you've been, you're a member of the force. Nigerians were, to a very large extent, surprised at the sudden change of the entire, security chiefs. I mean, from a practical perspective, what could spark this kind of massive reshuffle?
Well, so first of all, it's in the military that after some time there is some change in leadership. And typical of every operations, either at that level, that's the service chief level, or even at their own operational and tactical level, that usually is normal within the military cycle to see that there is some reshufflement, there are movements, there are alignments, that's tactical or operational alignments as the situation warrants. So in the military cycle, honestly, it's not surprising. Commanders do come, and usually a tour of duty is usually about 2 years, except, and of course, it could be shorter due to exigency of service, or it's slightly longer due to the exigency of service. In the case of service chiefs, it is clear the president has the prerogative of appointing them. The harmonized terms and conditions of service stipulates a certain number of years, I think 2 years. But it's at the end of the day, it states that the president has the prerogative to either terminate that appointment after 2 years or even make it longer. So it's completely at the whims and caprices.
But sorry to interrupt. But looking at the context of this particular change, does this raise eyebrow? Because I mean, this is unsubstantiated, even though we know that the government has actually debunked this rumors about, you know, some sort of coup planning and all of that. Do you think that all of this little dots here and there connect to what we saw Nigerians witness today?
So the commander-in-chief can be likened to any commander of a theater. So just that there are maybe so many considerations, political considerations, and so many others. So if you liken him to the role he's playing as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, that means from time to time, the president is going to look at the operational landscape. He's going to look at the mandate he has given his security chiefs and assess them vis-a-vis that and see, okay, how far or how well are they performing? Is there a need to reject them? Is there a need to change, just like has been done, and kind of inject new tempo and kind of change the rhythm of the theater? So taking it purely from operational grounds, you find out that it's something that from time to time that is expected, and it's not unusual. But within the rumor, and I don't like commenting on rumor, then you find out that if that really is what happened, there's a scare of coup around and so on, then you can expect that, yes, there should be those movements here and there to ensure that still getting back to the other part, which is the rhythm or the theater, the kind of how the theater looks like, the president could make such movements. So whether it's looking at the political aspect or it's looking at the operational aspect, it's expected that from time to time the president makes an holistic review of what is happening, the tempo and the rhythm, and tries to inject new tempo, try to change a few things here and there. I take this to be part of that. And that's looking at all considerations of putting everything on the ground. And this is what led to what we just witnessed this afternoon.
All right, let's extend this conversation to look at Nigeria's, will I call it, fight against banditry, kidnapping, insecurity generally. There have been cases, and at some point it appears like we're making progress, and then it seems like, you know, the whole thing seems to draw back. I would like you to speak also from a very practical standpoint. Why does it appear like our fight against insurgents seems to be moving in circles?
So, for me, it's well,
we seem to be having a bit of connectivity issues.
If you think substantial changes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. We lost you for a moment, but please kindly pick up, sir.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So I'll try to explain why we seem to be having some.
We seem to be having a bit of connectivity issues at the
And what
moment,
I'm
sir.
saying is that yes, and the
We seem
can you hear me?
all right. We seem to be having connectivity issues with you at the moment. Let's go on a quick break so that we can at least look into that. When we return, the conversation continues. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guest with me, Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired, is a security and development expert. Thank you for staying with me, sir. Now, before, of course, we had that network distortion. You are trying to explain why it appears our fight against terrorists and insurgents seems to be moving in circles.
Yes, because over the years, what we have failed to do some of the things that will make the fight, substantially different. There have been a lot of analysis on what needs to be done and to how much we've been able to do that or to implement that. It determines how the level of success that we're having. And fairly, some of the things are actually not within our cycle, but there are things that we can do. For example, if we need to be more technology enabled in our fight. What do I mean? We need to use more of technology as an enabler for our armed forces or for our security operations.
But by technology, please, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but by technology, I'd like you to be very specific because we know that monies are being voted to acquire ammunition, from guns to boats to tanks, even to drones. So in what area of technology would you say there's a gap?
So a lot have been said, but let's look at basics. Let's say, how do you acquire your intelligence? Whether it's human intelligence, how do you analyze it, and how do you bring it to bear in the theater of operations? How is that intelligence useful at the time that it's being deployed, or how timely is it that the troops can, real time utilize that? And not only that, when the intelligence is gotten, is processed. When the troops have the intelligence, how well are they able to react? So reaction time is key and is very important. Now, so technology, right from, say, software over to even mobilities, there's that whole range of enablers that ensure that our troops are able to know, first of all, assess the theater, holistically, know how it is, get as reliable intelligence as possible, but not only that, being able to respond timely. So they should be able to say if something is happening, or they should be able to preempt, they should be able to stop that. And when that fails, they should be able to respond timely. Because of the terrain, because of the vastness of the theater of operations.
Okay. But, sorry, because I really would like to come in here. I wanted you to land because I would like to come in. Now, we know that when it comes to budget, for instance, for security, it gobs a bulk of the budget. I mean, for that of 2025, for instance, about 4.9 trillion naira. Yet, we still have cases of kidnappings. We have cases of killings across board. And then one would ask, the monies voted versus the results expected doesn't seem to tally up. So I'm going to put it to you, I mean, from a very practical standpoint. Is it a situation of resources now, or just lack of willpower, or maybe skill on the part of the security personnel to really do what is needed?
So if you observe, I did say resources, or I didn't say in terms of maybe finances and so on. Whereas there's difference between budget and versus actuals. So what is the budgeted amount? How much is released to these forces and so on? But even if you check with that because I don't have the details of that, how much was budgeted, how much is.
We seem to be having a bit of connectivity issues with, of course, our guest at this time. Of course, I've been having conversations here with Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired. Are you there, sir?
I can hear you. Sorry about this network.
Okay. Anyway, let me just give you the opportunity to quickly respond, sir.
So in terms of the Nigerian Armed Forces, in terms of training, are one of the best trained, and you go wherever they go, they stand out, and so on and so on. But what I am saying is that sometimes some of these budgeted versus actuals, that versus what are the releases and so on, is something that we actually need to look at carefully and very. There should be a lot of discussions on that. But having said that, even there is one of the bills that is being introduced by one of the members in the National Assembly. So one of them actually sometimes is even in terms of structure of the armed forces itself, the command structure. Now, most of the, I pray that this will be discussed, in details, and some kind of resolution will be reached on this. If you look at the hierarchy now, the Chief of Defense Staff, everybody feels the Chief of Defense Staff is the #1 military man of Nigeria. In real terms, however, the Chief of Defense Staff does not have operational control of these troops. The Chief of Defense Staff can establish joint task forces and so on and so forth. But when it comes to appointing and leading these troops into the real battlefield, you find out that there are a lot of restrictions, and there are some kind of, what I call it, some kind of blue areas where he is not able, as the commander of the entire troops, to utilize those resources placed in his care. So with these reforms that they are talking about from the National Assembly, I hope they're going to look into that. To what extent can the Chief of Defense Staff truly deploy these troops? Now, if the services are in charge of recruitment, training, and to a large extent procuring of the weapons or weaponry, and that's army,